So as the title says, the webinar is around the digital transformation in infrastructure and construction industry. Now, in the beginning, just to set the pretext that, what we're going to talk about this, what is the relevance of that information? Or have any studies done, how that accuracy of that information. So, typically what you see on the screen is a McKinsey report. You could certainly Google it. Deloitte has done. And globally in the infrastructure industry, with the digitization, there is a significant changes. And when you look at the productivity around 15% increase, it's a lot of value. In the cost reduction at the project sites, again, it changes the whole game for an infra company if they are that much more competitive, their teams are more productive, and they have a reduced cost. And that is what the global phenomena is around the digital transformation. What is our positioning? Well, we are the market leader in infrastructure industry. We have the product in 30+ languages. So various parts of globe in different continents, our customers utilize the technology to innovate on day-to-day operations and really bring the productivity and cost savings. Now that is our subject focus for today. What is the infra side digital transformation? And I'm willfully taking a differentiation, not infusing between the company headquarters versus the project sites, because always the company headquarters has at least an ERP and have a few more systems, and they are reasonably covered. But when it comes around their bread and butter place, that's where an infra company makes everything around it. Their project site spread at multiple locations, geographically different areas, remote interior sites, a lot of complexities there. In digitization there, it is not easy. That's why it hasn't been widely adapted until recent few years. But that is the digitization we are talking today, where the real-time information flow is coming from your remote project sites, the value-add information coming, and it is plugging to your HO management, to your headquarter planning team. So there is a synergy in working together at various project sites, utilizing the digitization and having more inline connectivity for day-to-day decision making, for strategic vision, and for keeping a single version of information across the board. And that's the new phenomenon. It has been adopted by the market leaders, and they are satisfactorily making major difference. So this digitization, if you look at that, again, the subjectivity focus is that the activity is going on at your project sites. There's a lot of action happens, be it in terms of processes tracking, what is the status of the projects, how far the progress has been made, what is the status of materials and consumables, how frequently the changes at those sites is recorded and available to the project management as well as the higher management, to the decision makers sitting in the business head office. And that information flow is very much fragmented today. The information, typically, if we see the best case scenarios, there is a set of people collecting information once or a few times in a day, having a little project office and feeding that information in enterprise systems, or be it SAP S/4HANA, ECC, or you may have a homegrown ERP. But that is the best scenario today without the site digitization. And that leaves out a lot of valuable information that could transform the project. It could improve the project completion, reduce the overall cost, increase your productivity, but all that information is hidden. within the site, and only select few information is fed in those enterprise systems and coming back for the decision makers. And that's the breakpoint we're talking in this webinar today. Right? These 4 blocks are not completely telling the story, but they're just giving an idea that there's so much more goes on at the project site on the day-to-day basis. There are so many information changes. If right people have that information on time, it would save the time, money, and overall the project track. For example, just you were talking about the approvals, the material wastage at site, fuel misappropriations, overall safety issues, breakdowns coming, project materials got wasted, overall tracking of that information to your overall project goals. So this information gets filtered out, and a small piece of paper gets fed by the, or if it is SAP, then you would have a SAP functional operator there who would feed in that information. So the information changes hand from one person to other person. They're going to feed in a certain system. And we can imagine the quality and speed of that information. So a lot of things go in the backflush mode. The bunch of information is collected, and when it's the right time or when they get time, it gets fed. So the trust on that information isn't that high, and that's not being taken as a collective information for decision making. I see a lot of folks joining momentarily. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Of course, we started at sharp 2. We're just talking briefly on the digitization part, how the remote or your project sites are left from the journey of digital transformation. And if it is significantly impacting your business bottom line. And that is some key areas we are evaluating, that how does it make a difference? Like all of the challenges, what we're looking on this, we are aware that, okay, these things do exist at our sites. The people who are operating our machineries, the GMs, project managers, they all have those feedbacks. But the question comes, what are the means or tools we have to get those challenges covered, or how do we go after it, right? In a sense, this is a business process transformation, right? If you talk about a fuel theft and fuel misappropriation at your project site, now majority of the people know that it happens, and then there are various means being put together. But if you start looking at the latest techs and tools, you're gonna see there's a phenomenal growth in that. The artificial intelligence, machine learning, algorithms, the models running in the backgrounds, they emit so much more data, valuable data, that it is surprising to see that, how great those details are coming to help the decision makers. Or if you talk about a material wasted at a project site, the digital logbooks capture and tie that information in a way that is easily available in real time. So the decision makers are in the capacity to make those changes before such losses are accumulating and piling up. Like in today's case, if this information is coming over Excel sheets or perhaps being fed in the SAP systems after the facts, there isn't enough to make changes. The quality of information is also not enough to have some strategic changes in the position and ensuring that these things do not repeat. And that is where, the overall arena comes around this journey. The assets are at the project site. You have machineries, equipment, vehicles. And we see that the utilization percentage is not that high. The daily deployments are very fragmented. But then how do we go after it, right? Because these are all the connected dots. And if you can fix one dot, but the others are broken, then cohesively, that is not a working scenario. And that's where, we see the overall transformation. Either it happens or not gonna happen. Right? So it's more of a binary state where all of these interconnected problem statements, they somehow connect to the communication between the humans, how effectively the information is flowing, recorded, and it is visible for everybody to participate. And that's where, we see that in a simplistic manner, if we see these 4 items, they are typically the part of that transformation. Where in a pyramid, the top company management till everybody at the project execution level, be it your operators, drivers, supervisors, store mechanics, the project people, right, engineers, project managers, procurement. So when the human beings connect together in the business environment and the tight information flow is there, that is where the process improvement start happening. And the productivity in the very beginning, we talked about that as the McKinsey report indicate, at least 15% productivity gain is anticipated from the digital transformation. And then there is a direct cost benefits of it. And these are the means to achieve it. So in this example, the maximum participant at your project site being empowered through the mobile apps. To the simpler apps, they could participate, give the information, and access right information. It could be approvals or their transactional data, but it is available to them right on their phone device. And if it is working offline, connected to the cloud, bringing the information real time back to the other team members, people at a different project site or at your headquarters. And then in the background, they are connected systems. So that is overall the digitization. The manual paperwork utilization, it's going to be reduced significantly or perhaps not needed at all. So a combination of these things put together creates the value chain where a business become more and more competitive. And these are at a very high level, we see the benefits of digitization. Of course, the cost reduction, you do not have material wastage, the fuel theft, misappropriation is checked. The project site inventories are optimized. The daily logbooks, utilizations, deployment, wastage, all of that being tracked. And creates a collaborative workspace where people are not out of information. They're not waiting on other fellow team members or project team members to get going on their journey. Perhaps they need approval from a certain individual or a department. As it is being digitally recorded, there are SLAs, the service level agreements, which can be autonomously reported to the management. So it creates a path of an ecosystem where one step to other step, the automation brings more and more value, and that eventually becomes a process transformation. A lean operational capacity created using the digital tools. I believe the people just joined. Welcome to everybody. We have started it. If you have missed the beginning part, would like to know that the session is recorded and you could request a copy to one of our webinar team members. So again, welcome to all who are joining a bit late. Now, how would you able to deploy such digital transformation? Now that is a question. You evaluate, you do the discovery, do the assessment. Okay, what are the potential benefits that my company can reap out of those new tech, right? How do you position your own company, your own department, and see that, okay, how do we do that, right? So that is where, the HVI cloud technology is the front runner. It's the global leader in this domain. And it is done with the easy and frequent information flow between the systems and the people using mobile phones, tablets, digital displays connected to various systems to your S4HANA, and it has the advanced artificial intelligence and machine learning systems. And that works like a wonder. And we're going to talk about that briefly more. So here I'm going to just talk about 3-4 case studies, just to get an example that how it really going to impact it. Like here we talk inspection digitization process. So consider that at your project site, you have given them technology and they've been trained. All the machinery, equipment, vehicles, before they are deployed, every morning or once in a day, each and every asset is inspected. It could be done by operators, supervisors, or the maintenance team members. But once in a day, every asset is inspected. There are local language forms, and that is where the digitization is really impacting it. These are not English-centric systems, because as we would say, if you talk about even just in India, there are so many languages and not all of the people are highly proficient in English. But if they get the technology in their local language, be it in Hindi, Marathi, or Telugu, Tamil, now that's going to make a difference. If you give me a inspection form that is in my native language, and if you're giving me just a 10-question loader checklist or excavator, yes, I would be able to fill it up and send you. And that makes a difference. Because for when the participants are more on the daily basis, without any challenge, we're getting all that information. And that's a beautiful thing about it. If at your project site you have 200 assets deployed and people, before they start the shift, they're just sparing 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, they could conduct a walkthrough inspection, make sure their machinery is in valid condition. If there are any issues and faults, they can take pictures, voice notes, it automatically captures the geolocation. And all of that information is immediately sent to the respective team members. They get the immediate notification. And at the headquarters, you have clear visibility. What is the status on my project site A? How many assets are working today? Which one are down, red, or in the breakdown condition? They need the repair. What's all going on? And on daily basis, if you're receiving that information and working to improve that, that makes a transformative effect. And as we see on the benefits, it significantly reduces unplanned maintenance. It's going to reduce the instant breakdowns because the person has capacity before it going to job, it is being inspected. So likelihood of breakdown is significantly reduced. Overall fleet availability is increased and no more paperwork needed. It's all digital. So you don't have to print the papers at the site, keep those files. Somebody else need to feed them, enter them. All of that process is gone and you're getting a simpler means to report the information. And this has significantly changed. We have large customers in India who have deployed this technology and have really seen major difference. Their lubrication schedules are reduced. Inventory labels are now more certain because they are not anticipating so many breakdowns. So it's more streamlined process. And then on the HO part, as they have the clear visibility, the project planning is more efficient, more in line to the reality. So it has a various different factors to benefit the business. Now, if you look on this, how does it look, right? Again, the pictures are in English, but consider that if they are in the local languages, where a person just spending 5 minutes in morning doing a asset walkthrough, and in background, it has a lot more value add information connected. For the management, it is automatically tracking the SLAs, how many assets have been reporting the issues, for how long, for how many days they have been waiting, why nobody has worked on that, right? Those reports are automatically compiled and shared with everybody. If today at a project site, if one of your machinery is standing for last 20 days because it went into a breakdown, perhaps it doesn't got the spare part purchased or received at the site, but there isn't a direct visibility. Who's reporting it? With this digitization, these would covered under the automatic SLAs. If the management has a mandate that no machine could be down for more than 10 days, if anything is down, reported to all the way to top management, the system would do that. And that makes a difference. Right? The information is not available to the decision makers, makes an environment which is not proactive. And that narrative is being checked by this digitization. Now, if you look on the cost perspective, what impact would it really make? Right? And this is a minimal calculation. For a business, for example, having a 500 assets at a project site, how do they quantify? What is the financial implication? How do they see their business bottom line going to change? Would this technology change their product or their project level profitability or the overall cost metrics? Yes, it does. Like in this example, just deployment of this inspection process, a sustained deployment for a year, gonna reduce the breakdowns, gonna change the mean time to repair, and at the minimal cost level, if we see these benefits, they are massive benefits. And all it needs is a simpler means to deploy it, train the team members, and let it be keep running. So this is another simpler calculation for the same 500 assets at the very minimal level. Such technology would gross a minimum 78 lakhs benefit just without any extra effort. You have a person who's just supervising that the inspections are conducted daily. The technology has itself tools to remind the inspectors that, hey, it's the time to do the inspection. And then compile a missed inspection report and deliver it to the site supervisors so they could ensure that they are achieved. And that is all. Once that process is satisfactory, you do not need paperwork at the site anymore. The MTTRs are reduced, the breakdowns are reduced, and overall the asset life goes up. Now, similar tech, if we see that our companies utilizing it, well, of course, for at least the last 5 to 7 years, since the inception of cloud and mobility back in 2004, these technologies started coming and now they are mature, right? So the customers globally utilizing those are pro technology and those understand the value in it, they have been significantly benefiting with this. Customers across the continents have been utilizing it. Now, this is another example where we're talking about the maintenance management process. Today, you would have a process where A traditional desktop system can be configured, or maybe SAP or any other maintenance management system. And your team members create a PM notification, follow through work order. And then once the order completes, you go ahead and mark the completion. So very minimal information is recorded. When we evaluate what is the best possible information available today, which transforms our maintenance process, reduces our overall maintenance cost, and make our maintenance team more proactive. And that is an integrated journey. For a typical maintenance life cycle, if it is connected to the inspection, to the store, procurement, and the information flow is recorded and tracked, that makes a major difference. Because all of that information is tracked in real time, and the SLAs are tracked across the teams. If the project team has or operations has requested an issue, and the maintenance planning team is working on it, and they require a spare part or a material, which has been under the HO procurement team, how efficiently they are working on it. If they are missing on the information, if it is a delayed delivery, what is the implication on it? Overall, all those lead time information is what really makes a difference. Like in this example, on the very right side, you see the SLA metrics. When the information or when the work is delivered from one team to other team, how frequently they are coordinating in what capacity. For example, on this, say, if we see an inspection fault is found or a breakdown is reported, now what is the lead time before maintenance planning team started working on it? When they put the man and material on that, who would be working, what material would be used or spares, how long it took for them, how long it took for the store to release the material, or if they don't have it, to put a purchase request. And if the material is requested on the emergency basis or even on the routine, what is the traditional procurement lead time? Now, all of that information is tracked across each and every work process. And the AI ML systems tuning it up to bring the insight back to the decision makers. How well you position all of them to reduce your overall time. And all that information is automatically synced back to the enterprise systems. And that's a beautiful part, because feeding that information, creating that information, making sure that information is correct is a lot of work. And that lot of work is not limited to few people. With mobile app driven approach, it is shared by everybody. It is not a few operator centric process where only they need to feed that information, that data entry, but everybody is participating in that. So that really brings a transformation, because all this information is available at the HO. It is available at the project site. All the participants are member, they could use their mobile phone devices to give the approvals, to give the data, to access the information, and that speeds up the overall process. And of course, once it is there, the impacts are immediately seen. There is a more streamlined maintenance planning, the overall cost reduces. As the material procurement cost reduces, you are not putting urgent orders, having instant delivery of the spare parts, flying them in, but it is more in the routine way. Now, just another example, if we look around it, that is around the fuel process, right? So how do we see the fuel optimization in terms of the net fuel cost reduction and digital record keeping. At your project sites, you might be having multiple fuel storage tanks, fuel bunkers, which are maintaining the fuel labels, and then the routine fuel consumption logs. Today's time, if you are even using the fuel sensors, the overall information flow that is going to your finance system, there is a disconnected breaks. Right? And with the use of HVI mobile app, how does that transform? So at each and every fueling entry, if it is done through the mobile technology, at the time of giving the fuel, it captures the geolocation, captures the signature of receiver and the giver, or take the picture of their dashboard, fuel browser, and all of that information is in the background collected, right? Once that fuel logging is done, in the background, it does check the assets standard fuel norms. It's going to be checking the utilization, the deployment status. And then the artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithm, that's where it really impacts. Going to be kicking in and checking in, okay, what's the value of this fuel entry? Does it inline or does it have flags? Right? And if I give you a bit more example, when these systems run on that, they does the people mapping. So each and every person who's taking fuel, system creates its own memory around them. What has been their behavior at a different project sites? Would they been the outlier? Have they been consuming more than the anticipated fuel norms? Who are such people? And it's going to be putting them an extra layer of scrutiny without any manual intervention, checking more deeper regressions on them. Are those specific assets are more susceptible for misappropriation? It's going to be harmonizing that data on the similar kind of assets across the board for it past 6 months. And all that keep happening in the background. And it brings surprisingly the outliers audit automatically. And that's where you could engage your manual process and eventually take out those possibilities. And this process has been deployed in India. The customers has been benefiting on that. Now, this is another case study on the digitization at the site level, which is a digital logbooks. And again, like fuel, digital logbooks, or all of those assets do connect with your enterprise systems. So in this case, all the supervisors at the site can utilize and fill their daily logbooks using the mobile apps or tablets, and of course through the laptops and traditional means. They are in multiple languages, so people can use in their own local language, and they are automatically translated in English. And then the daily trip counts, material utilization, the plans, overall pictures around it, all that is get connected. So let me give an example here how the latest tech makes a difference. For a project site progress, the traditional means is more on the text information. But the mobile phones has the capability to take the pictures, take the voice note. So when the daily progress is tracked, it can track the geofence coordinates, how long the project progress has been made. It takes the multiple pictures and synthesize them from your prior day progresses. So it puts together the validation of your planning versus the actual work being done. It checks the raw material consumptions, harmonize them with a lot of details. For example, if a tipper is transporting 100 tons of material and the next set of laying people are reporting a less or more than that, it creates a data discrepancy and it's going to be creating self-auditing in the system and bringing that information to surface. If there is a material wastage in that, Is there a other kind of idling or some other issues on that? Typically, those are not captured in today's time. So when we look at all of these components together, it really enhances the productivity. And of course, all that information is available in real time at a HO level. So this is a complex screen, but I would generally put the focus on the right side management screen. Again, those who recently joined, well, thank you for joining. Although the webinar has been in progress, but it is recorded. So if you have missed the prior part, we would get you a copy. You could reach one of our team members. Thank you. So in this example, we're talking about a typical project logbook. And routine information has been submitted through that. Now, what is the best part? The best part, all of these KPIs on the right side, productivity, or the deployment KPIs, or the fleet projections, or material misappropriation. These are all done in the background consistently on the cloud environment, where the latest technology is continuously checking these records and finding anomalies. It's doing the regression over that information and identifying the patterns and reporting them to the decision makers and the right people. And because this is happening in real time, it gives the opportunity to correct those issues, correct those problems, and minimize the risk of financial loss or the project delays or the reputation to the business. And this does a major difference when these information are deployed at the project level. Traditionally today, you would have a piece of paper, perhaps Excel, finally entered in an ERP system, end of the day or next morning. And the value in that is very limited and selective. So there is no in-time action. There are no notification workflows telling you, hey, this is an event happening and you can intersect in it. You know, if you are aware of that, if those are SLAs broken, as a manager, you have the capacity to intersect. Now that opportunity is achieved by this digitization at project sites. And at the bottom, these like HVI app is connected to your recipe, to GPS systems, telematics, fuel sensors, and then of course to all the team members. And that creates a powerful data set for the business users. One minute. Now, I think we talked briefly more about overall digitization. I would be talking one final slide around how it works with SAP. And this is, you see the two flows here. One is around today's environment, which is the upper half, and the second one, the lower half. So the first half is a process where you have a technology box set at your project sites, and people manually feed that information in SAP system. Now there are a number of issues. One, that it is a people or bottleneck here. If you have that SAP expert on vacation, on time off, or not feeling good, directly gonna impact it. Or you redundant that by putting extra cost. And then you are having the paper copies at the site. And that's a traditional way of doing it today. Now, if you compare that, another risk comes that if your SAP goes off for any reason, if you do not have the internet in the project site area, or on a routine maintenance, if system goes down, it directly impacts it, the data collection at your project site. Do you have any means today that All of those issues no more exist. And that's where the technology comes. The offline mobile apps available to everybody where they can access all of their SAP data. If they need to provide an approval, it is there. You give it on the mobile app and the background, it is an SAP. Even the SAP is down, all the data at the site level can still be collected. And when it comes back, it's going to go and sync it back. The business users do not have to go at the project office and submit information. They could just do it through their mobile phones, be it a material consumption, fuel entries, procurement approvals, day-to-day project related handlings, all of that is done. And that is also a major component of site digitization. Because here, with the combination of technology, you're making the data quality much improved. So that's pretty much it around the digitization process for today's webinar. Now, and of course, what if you do not want to implement and have this digitization or transformation done? Well, the number one disadvantageous point is that your cost gonna be higher because it's a non-optimized process. And the definition of optimized or non-optimized is peer-based. If the companies are using modern tools and they are competing with you, then of course your costs are higher. It's a negative advantage. The poor quality talent, the new workforce, they are more mobile friendly. They would like to work through the new means. And if they're being introduced through the older way of doing it, the perception about the businesses, it just creates a less valuable environment for them. And of course, the scheduling issues, the project delays, and the environment compliance, because the paper trails aren't the best trails in today's time. So overall, it is not an option to run the risk of not digitizing it. So to all the attendees, I would highly recommend do take a look at your project site and have your own assessment how such technologies can integrate and bring the value add back to your business. How your peers are utilizing them, transforming it. That is all about the digitization webinar. Thank you so much for your time, all of you.